Okay, these will go pretty quick. Really, you just need to know what these properties mean. So, what properties illustrated by each statement? Well, here you see that the order is being changed. First, it's 3 plus 1/2, and it says it's equal to 1/2 plus 3. When you are doing multiplication or addition, you can change the order of what you're adding or multiplying, and the outcome will be the same. You'll get the same answer. So 3 plus 1/2, 3.5, 1/2 plus 3, 3.5. There's this equality that happens when you do it either way. So this is a property of addition, of course. So we're going to immediately cross out this one. It's not inverse property. And it's not multiplication. So, okay, so what are we dealing with? Well, if we move something from one place to another, just like people move back and forth to work, we call them commuters. Things that commute move back and forth. We're moving the position of these back and forth. First the 3 is in front, now we're moving it to the back. This is the commutative property. I will talk about what these other properties are, but first we're going to get to the next one, which is the another property of addition. So I'm going to cross out this multiplication. As you can see, we're adding here, we're not multiplying. All of these are addition or multiplication because these properties only work with multiplication and addition. You can't, for example, move the order in division. 1 divided by 8 is not the same as 8 divided by 1. Okay? So doesn't work for division, doesn't work for subtraction. But, okay, what are we doing here? Well, when things group together, kids in school are grouping together, they are associating with other kids. In this case, these numbers are associating in such a way by grouping symbols that it happens first. This would happen, this would happen first. 4 plus 4 would be 8. Then you would add the 7. 8 plus 7 is 15. Versus over here, this happens first. 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. In both cases, you get 15, but it's how you associate them together with the grouping symbols. Associating things and grouping them is the same thing, so the grouping symbols is an indication that it's associative property. Commutative property, we just looked at from the last one. It's not that. Now, what is the inverse property? Inverse property of addition is doing the opposite thing. So if we had 2, I'm down here on the bottom, and change the color. If we had 2, and we want to do the inverse of that, we add with it -2. That would get us to 0. The inverse of something is basically to undo it. If we had -7, we would add to that +7. That would get us to 0. The inverse property of addition should result in 0 when you are done with it. And what you're doing is you're adding its opposite. Okay, so that's the inverse property. That's not what we dealt with up there. And now we're at multiplication. We can see that we're at multiplication for number 19. And so let's look at it. It's not commutative and associative properties. We already dealt with that in 17 and 18. So we either have the inverse property of multiplication or the commutative property. Well, let's look at what they're doing. They're moving position, just like commuters move to and from work. So these are moving in their position. 8's moving from the front now to the back, and we still are going to get the same result. This is the commutative property of multiplication. And what's the inverse property? The inverse property would say, let's say if you had -9/4 like you see in problem 19, the inverse of that